Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The Marine Corps says a defective fuse likely caused an artillery shell to prematurely explode over Interstate 5 last year during an event with Vice President J.D. Vance. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer says a Marine investigation found no one at fault.
Howitzer artillery guns fire from Red Beach Friday, October 17th, a trial run of the next day's mission. Friday afternoon traffic can be seen moving along Interstate 5. The Marines had decided they didn't need to close the freeway, but the next morning, Governor Gavin Newsom ordered it closed regardless, capping a week of back and forth between the governor and the Trump administration over the safety of the exercise. According to the Marines, firing over the freeway was safe. Doug Krugman was a colonel in the Marines before retiring last year. He led infantry units in Iraq and Afghanistan. He agrees with the Marines' assessment.
That is my personal experience. I'm familiar with the range safety regulations, what we're allowed to do in peacetime training. And this type of overhead artillery fire is approved. And frankly, it's something I've done before, and I've done it with comfort in both peacetime training in the U.S. and in combat.
On the day of the Marines' 250th birthday event at Camp Pendleton, one of the high-explosive howitzer rounds exploded over the freeway, raining shrapnel onto a California Highway Patrol vehicle, a vehicle that was part of the vice president's motorcade. According to the Marine Corps investigation, a faulty fuse caused the early explosion. The investigation says the fuses are extremely reliable, with a 1 in a million defect rate. The malfunction was a statistical anomaly.
It's just a matter of when we say there's no real risk, to us that means 1 in a million. That's not a real risk. In this case, 1 in a million turned out to be a real significant risk, and fortunately, nobody was hurt.
According to the investigation, the guns were unusually close together and fired almost simultaneously, neither outside regulations. Investigators suggest electromagnetic energy could have caused the fault in the fuse, but found no evidence it did. Investigators interviewed base range control officials who said the beach firing point hadn't been used since the late 1950s. They have no records of ever firing over traffic on I-5, at least until the October practice shoot. After 24 years, Krugman left the Marines in protest of President Donald Trump. He wrote about it in an op-ed in the Washington Post. Even so, he says his biggest problem with the exercise was tactical. In the real world, no trained officer would station their artillery guns on a beach.
The weapons were packed that close together, and they were shooting from that beach to make sure it was a good photo opportunity. Whether or not that's a wise use of government resources, that's a question the voters can answer in the future.
Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
I'm Ariella Scalise, coming up tonight, how about that record March heat? Well, it continues to build with some of our hottest weather not coming till Friday. We'll keep some gusty offshore winds. There will be a slight weekend cool down, but temperatures will still stay above average. A closer look at the forecast is coming up.
The Iran war's disruption of shipping in the Strait of Hormuz is raising big concerns for American farmers. Closure of the strait has led to surging prices and fears over fertilizer supply, just as many farmers are beginning the spring planting season. Michael Yoshida breaks down what this could mean for food prices.
If we miss that window, we could have catastrophic crop failure.
Alarm bells sounding over disrupted shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and the potential impact to American farmers.
Worst case scenario, a grower may not be able to get a crop in the ground. And of course, that's going to lead to food security conversations.
The waterway is critical for transporting supplies needed to make fertilizers, as well as the finished products, including about half the world's supply of urea, a nitrogen fertilizer for crops like corn. Also, about a third of global exports of ammonia, key for most nitrogen fertilizers, and sulfur, another vital nutrient for crops. Shipments that have essentially stopped since the war.
With the closure of that strait, it's lifted prices here in the United States by several $100s per ton. So that immediately squeezes farmers' bottom line.
I've not seen this level of disruption before. Urea prices are up 50% since that Friday before.
According to the Fertilizer Institute, the U.S. imports about 35% of its fertilizer needs every year, with supplies often arriving just in time for use.
I'm told we still need to import about 25% of our need for March, April, May application.
Now, spiked costs and already low crop prices could lead to tough decisions.
We'll have to adapt either to plant a different crop that uses less fertilizer, or potentially reduce the amount of fertilizer that they use, which could have an impact on crop yields and ultimately prices.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
The face of President Trump's immigration crackdown is reportedly retiring. According to CNN sources, Gregory Bovino plans to retire by the end of the month. The nearly 30-year veteran led the controversial immigration sweeps in several Democratic-led cities, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and Minneapolis. Under Bovino's watch, 2 federal agents shot and killed 2 American citizens during separate incidents. Soon after, he was replaced in the lead role by border czar Tom Homan. Bovino returned to his current role in El Centro. The San Diego Association of Governments has faced criticism over how federal immigration agents use a local law enforcement database. Now, KPBS reporter Elaine Alfaro says San Diego County Supervisor Paloma Aguirre is calling on Sandag to deny ICE access to the database.
Aguirre's reasoning is simple. She says ICE can't be trusted.
ICE has eroded public trust. They have not followed due legal process.
The Sandag database is known as ARGIS. It includes traffic citations, arrest records, field interviews, and some driver's license records. KPBS previously reported that federal immigration agencies have access to this data.
Even if you've been randomly stopped for a traffic stop violation, they could use potentially that information to track down target names that they may have.
The federal agencies are prohibited from using the data for immigration enforcement, but Sandag is currently not allowed to do audits to check on how the data is being used. El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells also sits on the Sandag board. He's not worried about ICE using the database.
We've been given assurances after assurances that this data can't be used by ICE.
The Sandag board discussed ARGIS in private session last Friday and may bring it back for public discussions soon. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
Millions of people are looking to get away during the spring break season, but the typical travel rush is being complicated by long lines at airports and surging fuel prices. Jen Sullivan explains how to navigate all of the travel woes and find last-minute deals on trips.
Traveling for spring break? Expect long TSA lines. The security line wrapped around the building at Austin Bergstrom International Airport Monday morning. And at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, TSA lines were nearly 2 hours long.
This is absolutely absurd.
The long security lines are caused by the partial government shutdown as TSA agents work without pay. Many are calling out and even quitting, causing a shortage of agents.
They can't afford it. Most TSA workers, as most Americans are, living paycheck to paycheck.
Travel experts are warning, book your tickets now. The war with Iran is driving up oil prices. That means higher jet fuel prices and higher ticket prices.
Ticket prices, if you're looking about 3 weeks out for booking, have already risen pretty sharply. We've seen pretty solid increases.
It's not all bad news. Travelers can still score some last-minute deals. Many resorts in Puerto Rico are offering discounts right now.
You get an international experience without the hassle of international travel.
Emily Kaufman, known as the Travel Mom, says the Wyndham Palmas Beach and Golf Boutique Resort is offering a 4th night free if you book 3 nights. That deal runs through the end of March. Looking for a cruise?
Holland America Cruise Line has a terrific offer on their Caribbean sailings right now, where you can save up to 50% off of your fares.
Great Wolf Lodge is offering 30% off a 2 or more night stay if you book within 60 days of arrival. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, in a phone call with the NewsHour, President Trump talks about the war with Iran and oil prices in America. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
New federal safety regulations are now in effect for a popular toy. Water beads are small, colorful balls that can grow up to 100 times their original size when exposed to water. Now, if ingested, they pose a huge danger. Mandy Gaither has more on the new safety standard.
They're colorful, fun to touch, and highly attractive to young hands. But if swallowed, water beads can quickly turn dangerous.
Once they expand up, they can kind of look like a jelly bean or other round candy. And kids have sweet tooths. They love candy.
Dr. Manisha Agarwal with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says once ingested, water beads can cause blockages within the body. They can also lead to choking and other internal injuries. Around 6,300 water bead-related ingestion injuries were treated in U.S. emergency rooms between 2017 to 2022. There was also one death reported, a 10-month-old girl in 2023.
Young children explore the world with their mouth. That is normal and developmentally appropriate.
On Thursday, new federal safety regulations from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission went into effect. They're aimed at protecting children by setting a maximum expansion size for water bead toys to prevent them from becoming large enough to be dangerous if ingested. The new rules also put limits on the amount of a possible carcinogen often found in the products, and there must now be visible warning labels to caution consumers. Officials say many of the water beads come from overseas.
This new safety standard is going to give our port inspectors additional tools to interdict dangerous products before they can reach the American mainland.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And in addition to that, officials say it's also critical for parents and caregivers to keep the toys away from young children and stored in a secure container, and to never allow children to play with water beads unsupervised. The land beneath Paradise Native Garden is perhaps unexpected to many, and that is because it was once a landfill. KPBS environment reporter Tammy Murga says the volunteer-run garden is gearing up for its grand opening.
For so long, Paradise Hills Native Garden looked nothing like it does today.
Right here is the pollinator garden, which was our first garden for our rite of passage.
Nancy Jensen lives in Paradise Hills. She remembers how barren the city land was, remnants of its former life as a landfill.
It was a weed-infested field. And being an advocate for my community, I said, we deserve better than this.
The landfill was capped in the 1960s to prevent greenhouse gas emissions. Because of its former use, nothing was ever built. But Jansen and her husband, Wes, saw potential. So they went to the city of San Diego with an idea.
Pretty significant palette of plants has co-adapted in our climate to live in this climate without an irrigation system. We could establish a demonstration garden and make it a nicer place for the community to recreate.
The city liked their idea, but couldn't fund their vision at the time. So the Jansens and several other Paradise Hills residents built the garden themselves. Along the way, they got grant funding from several public and private donors. It's been 5 years since they began planting all sorts of native plants and trees that require little to no water. It's now ready for a grand opening.
The whole idea of bringing our community outdoors into something that's just native. I mean, look at the butterflies. We don't see those in our concrete backyards.
The grand opening is scheduled for April 18. Tammy Murga, KPBS News.
In Ocean Beach, creativity isn't just something you see. It's something you step into. One local storefront is doing more than selling art and clothing. It's creating opportunity, building community, and helping artists get their start. KPBS video journalist Carlos Castillo introduces us to the space connecting people, ideas, and creativity in OB.
Wondering what this place is? It's called Connect San Diego and Shift Gallery and Gatherings. My name is Robert. I'm the owner and director of this space. Let's go find out what's inside. Connect was born in 2018. I was doing pop-up experiences at local venues. People were seeing our phones as our trademark, and they knew that, oh, this is Connect, that art thing. Been doing it for the last 8 years. Connect San Diego is a place for artists, small businesses, and vendors to sell and showcase their work here in Ocean Beach. We are pretty much the platform. All they have to do is stock it, and we'll sell it for them. Every 5 feet in this store is a different person showcasing and selling their work. So as you go down the hall, you'll see everyone's different styles. Connect is not just a store, it's a whole movement. It also is a stepping stone for you to open your own spot. It gives you the experience and to feel comfortable to know what sells, what doesn't sell. It's beautiful to see people inspired and use this to get where they really need to be. This is everything to me. Connecting people that wouldn't normally get to meet each other through experiences and art and performance and merchandise. It's like that nostalgic feeling, you know, of like actually connecting with somebody. It's more than a store. It's a whole culture. You have to start somewhere as an artist, and we are that stepping stone. Every time you come in here, we always move something every week. There's always something new. There's a real heart here. Ocean Beach is a creative, free-spirited beach town, and we represent that. We also have a shop next door called the Bodega, and you can also enter through the gallery this way. People are like, I have to show you this secret gallery. There's like a secret speakeasy in the back. Place where we showcase local artists, and I personally curate every event and artist that comes in the store. I walk in, it's always empty, so I was like, you know what, let me manifest this. I was like, well, this could be a really good gallery and event space, and it would be right next door to Connect. It was like one of the best decisions ever. I think having this and allowing people to showcase in here it does boost them into a different era in their lives. They're like, well, I showcase at this gallery and now I'm ready for more. It's a very like inclusive feeling, and we want you to feel included here and accessible. They complement each other by being the yin and yang. This is the more proper, elegant, artsy side, and then Connect is more of the colorful, fun, sporadic, and nostalgic place. It's like maximalist, and then this is like minimalist. And I wanted people to experience both in their visit. Hey, are you guys all set? How was your experience?
It was great.
Yeah?
We always walk out with something. Oh, you can spend hours in here. Every artist is curated and have their own little style. It's just like, it's really, really cool.
I wake up every day very happy, and I'm just like, I get to go to the best job that I created for myself. This place is my art. The whole place is my art project. This is a place for me to genuinely just express my sense of feelings with everyone, you know, and it's just really well reciprocated.
What a cool place and a great story about it. KPBS video journalist Carlos Castillo produced that story. Connect San Diego is open daily, and the gallery next door hosts rotating exhibits and community events throughout the year.
How about some record-shattering heat, not only challenging daily highs, but even challenging monthly records here. Those are in jeopardy as well, with highs 15 to 30 degrees above the historical average. It can be dangerously hot in the lower deserts, especially this time of year, right? We don't get that slow acclimation to the heat here, coming pretty quickly here. And with high pressure in control, that brings us really dry conditions, so the drought continues to expand. The intense heat is the reason that you've seen the areas of extreme heat watches and warnings and heat advisories through San Diego down to Chula Vista. And those continue until 8 o'clock on Friday evening. So some of the worst of the heat still building through the end of the week. At least the night's rather comfortable in some spots, but still some elevated temperatures overnight. San Diego and Chula Vista only down to 57. Mount Laguna drops to 50, only 60 overnight in Borrego Springs, and 49 in Oceanside. Look at these temps building here. 81 in San Diego, 83 in Oceanside. As you make your way to Borrego Pago Springs, 96 degrees, and even Mount Laguna at 66. I mentioned the dry spell here, so not only is this strengthening high bringing us the intense heat, but that drought's going to continue here across California, Arizona, and a worsening drought ahead for Utah and New Mexico, plus some of us dealing with the elevated fire risk as well with some gusty winds. Let's take a look here as the heat continues across the coast. We'll get a little bit of some lowering temperatures in this location here, but that's not the same for everybody. We'll get some higher temperatures further inland, and those continue through the end of the week. Lots of heat building. Temperatures come down a little bit by Saturday. Across the desert, it will be hottest Friday into Saturday, I should say, in the mountains. And then we take a look at the 5-day desert forecast. Dangerous heat building as we head into Friday, the hottest day at 106 degrees. Stay safe. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
March is Women's History Month, and women remain a small minority in aviation, making up only about 6 to 10% of pilots nationwide. But in California, some local aviators are working to change that. Madison Keevy reports.
Headsets on. 30.16. Anybody has a future. A little bit power. It is such an amazing thing to be able to fly an airplane.
Sky condition clear below 12,000.
It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. Full throttle. Full throttle. But you can get there. There you go. Now you're flying. Good job. And we are flying. We are flying.
Clearing a path to the cockpit.
And head towards that mountain.
Helping more women take the controls.
So when I say my controls, you say your controls. So your controls. Okay.
We're in the air flying over Folsom Lake. Today, I'm a student pilot, and Jamie Lou Waterhouse is my instructor.
1,300. You're flying a plane. Falling down to Napa.
Up here, women are still outnumbered. That's why Waterhouse founded Girls Love to Fly, to get more women and girls into aviation.
Our goal is not to be a female pilot. Our goal is to make it more usual to have females flying. A lot of time when I'm flying, especially with the corporate jets and those kind of planes, people are they're excited. They're like, oh my gosh, a female pilot, a girl pilot. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And it is cool. But what would be really cool is if it was more normal. And if it wasn't just such a culture shock.
Discovery flights like this are about more than just fun. They're a launch pad for women and girls to show them the sky's the limit.
When I was younger, I was terrified to fly, and it was scary. It was the unknown, and I did it to conquer a fear.
The corporate captain and certified flight instructor now flies nearly every day. All it took was getting off the ground to see what was possible.
How important is representation?
It's extremely important. So when we represent women in aviation, that's where our safety culture comes along. You know, a lot of times people, like I said, they don't expect a woman to be a pilot just because it's not the norm.
Changing perception starts by changing the statistics. 6 to 10% of all pilots are women. Executives in aviation, even fewer. Women make up only 3% of airline execs and only 1% of airline captains.
We're at 2,500
Yet, a study last year found female pilots perform better under pressure than their male counterparts.
Don't worry, you're good, you got this.
Women are still underrepresented in aviation, mainly because there are fewer role models, mentors, and many don't even see it as a career option. Breaking these barriers starts with visibility.
Okay, we have 18 gallons on that side. All right, we're going to check the other side.
Before we ever took off, Waterhouse made sure I knew what was going on.
Look in here, make sure.
Every checklist item,
You want to check the lights, fuel quantity.
a lesson in safety.
Master switch on, flaps down.
She's done this before and tells me confidence can get women into the cockpit.
You want to make sure that the beacon is working up there.
But more importantly, confidence keeps them there.
It looks good to me.
For student pilot Marissa Nasco, flying has been years in the making. She says a flight with her dad when she was just 5 years old sparked the dream. But taking the first step into aviation felt intimidating.
I knew that I could get into it somehow. I just never knew how to do it. I was afraid to take that step.
Now, she's proof of what's possible.
Whatever we want to accomplish in life, we can do.
And we did. Back in the cockpit, where the controls were mine, the lesson continued.
You're flying. My hands are not even on this.
That's the mission, isn't it? To help women realize when they're in control, everything changes.
Anybody can do it at any age.
With the help of someone like Waterhouse, taking someone like me under their wing.
What's falling? You see the long runway? You see like a...
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we're headed.
McCall Tower, Piper 72435.
With a mission to put more women in the sky.
We want them flying a lot, and we want them flying safely.
A great pilot, period.
A great pilot, period. That's what needs to happen for all of us to be safe and all of us to be successful in aviation. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And touchdown.
We help women and girls build their confidence so that they can get out there, conquer their fears, and look back at themselves years from now and go, wow, I did it and you can do it too.
Incredible. I just flew that plane.
And back on the ground, here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. Many people say they use cannabis for their mental health, but researchers say there is little to no evidence the drug can be beneficial for any psychiatric condition. That is tomorrow on NPR's Morning Edition. And new stamps honoring lowrider culture rolling into your local post office. KPBS Midday Edition is talking with a professor and consultant for Lowrider Archive at USD about their significance. As always, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Enjoy your evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.